Well, we start our presentations about epoxy resin thermoset for mechanical engineering. I am Heru Sukanto. But firstly, I have to apologize for you because I can show my face here because of any technical problems. Well, we'll discuss about the epoxy resins. One material that well known for using in mechanical applications. Because this material offers high strength, low shrinkage, excellent adhesion to various substrates, effective electrical insulation, and then chemical and solvent resistance, and of course the low cost and low toxicity as well. Commonly, you can find these resins as composite matrix. Yeah. Because this composite should be bound with a special material that have tensile strength higher tensile strength, and the epoxy resins give tensile strength rings from 90 to 120 megapascal. And this epoxy have a glass transition temperature that range from 150 until 220 degrees of Celsius. So it is appropriate for composite matrix. Well, comparing to the other matrix, this epoxy have mechanical force superior, corrosive resistance, good performance at high temperature, good adhesion to substrates. For example, as a reinforcement, sometimes the epoxy reinforced by fiberglass, Kevlar, carbon, and then the boron fibers, and sometimes in the recent research, natural fibers applied as a reinforcement. On the other side, composite epoxies can be found as well as adhesive. For example, if you found in the commercial adhesive, like the mark of MACO, yeah, this adhesive can be applied for wood, metals, and then the glasses, stone or ceramics, and then as plastic as well, and the most of types of materials. This adhesive as well have a property of rigid or flexible. You can find as well the adhesive to be transparent or colored, and then the settings can be do in fast or in slow curings. And the next common epoxy resin application is coating. And the most coating is floor. Epoxy for these coatings, especially in floor coating, they have slip resistance and of course versatile aesthetical pleasings. You can insert any picture or any art insert this epoxy or makes your floor to become interesting. And the common composite applied for coating is just epoxy resins, and there's the pure epoxy resins, and then combined by polyamide hardener. Well, we will talk about the epoxy thermoset. Resin epoxy refers to a broad group of reactive compounds that are characterized by a presence of an oxyrene or epoxy rings, that is a three-member ring contain I will give pointer. It is containing one oxygen here on the right one, and then the bonded with two carbons, the black ones. This is the atoms of carbons, and should be equilibrium with with another atom around of these carbons and oxygen atoms. The type of epoxy classified in the roughly in three common epoxy types. It is phenolic glycidyl ether, and then the aromatic glycidyl amines, and then the cycloaliphatic epoxy resins. Well, the example of the phenolic glycidyl ether is the diglycidyl ether of bisphenol A. Yeah. They are formed by the condensation reactions between epichlorohydrin and the phenol group. The structure of phenol containing molecule, number of phenol rings distinguish different types of epoxy resins. And then some modifying of this ratio of epichlorohydrins and bisphenol A during production can generate high molecular weight resin. This type of resin increases viscosity, and hence these resins are solid at the room temperature. Other variations of this class include hydrogenated bisphenol A epoxy resins. Under some applications, bromide resins are flame retardants and mostly used in electrical applications. Further, the glycidyl of ether of bisphenol H type of H bisphenols, so promising weather resistance, and the type of S bisphenols is used to obtain thermally stable epoxy resins. And that is the type of phenolic glycidyl ether. The aromatic glycidyl ether, aromatic glycidyl amines, for example, the tetraglycidyl methylene dianiline, the structure of the atom like here. This epoxy formed by reaction epichlorohydrin with an amine, with aromatic amines stable in temperature applications. Okay. This epoxy, that is TGMDA, have excellent mechanical properties and high glass transition temperatures, and stable for advanced composites for aerospace applications. The modification of this epoxy exhibits low viscosity at room temperatures and commonly blended with other epoxy to modify the flow or check of the formulation without the loss of temperature of glass. Other commercial glycidyl amines include glycidyl amines, tetraglycidyl methacellene diamines. The primary disadvantage of this class in cost, it is very expensive in the market. The third types of epoxy indicate as cycloaliphatic. The example of these resins is diglycidyl ester of hexahydrophthalic acid. Well, it is the types of the special epoxy. Cycloaliphatic epoxy resins designed applications that requiring high temperature resistance, good electrical insulation performance, and ultraviolet resistance. They contain an epoxy rings that is internal to ring structure. Yes, this is. Well, this cycloaliphatic resins formulations are used to mainly fabricated many paper reinforcement structural components. The formulation accompanying these resins can exhibit high glass transition temperatures and reach of 20 degrees of Celsius. Well, when we try to make epoxy become rigid, we have to add the resin by curing agents. Many epoxy curing agents used today are the amine variety. Amine curing agents are widely employed due to their practical curing speed and final thermoset performance. The curing amine agents have three main types. It is aliphatic amine curing agents. This is based on linear aliphatic chains that reacts rapidly at ambient temperature. It is commonly used for flooring, concrete, and steel coating. The second curing agent is cycloaliphatic amine curing agents. Amine based on cyclic aliphatic chains with so improvement in chemical resistance and glass transition temperature. It is still used for flooring, concrete, steels, and then for paper reinforcement composites with low heat resistance requirement. And the last of these amine curing agents is aromatic amine curing agents. That is amine based on aromatic black bonds, which lead to high glass transition temperature. That is curing agents blends with epoxy for fiber reinforcement composite part at high temperatures and for chemical resistant coating. Well, the application of epoxy in the mechanical structural application. Epoxy resin are a particular interest in structural composites applications because they provide unique balance of chemical and mechanical properties, as well as extreme processing versatility. Some of the most interesting applications are found in the aerospace and recreation industries, where resin and fibers are combined to produce complex composite structure. Epoxy resins satisfy a variety of non-metallic composite designs in commercial and military aerospace application, including for floorings, panels, and then the ductings, and then for vertical and horizontal stabilizer, wings, and the other area of aerospace. Epoxy composites are also used to produce lightweight parts for automotive, for rails and bicycle frames, for golf clubs and snowboard or surfing, and then for racing cars and musical instrument. This application uses complex epoxy formulations, which will include multiple epoxy resins with modifiers for toughness, for example, or flexibility, or for flame suppression, or for filler for strength, pigments for colors, curing additive that promote curing reaction. And then high temperature applications can be improved by use of higher functionality resins, which increase cross-link densities and improve thermal and chemical resistance. Epoxy resins based on hydroxyl phenyl and methane, for example, is one of the important epoxy resins used in high performance applications. And at elevated temperature, this resin so excellent in the physical and electrical properties, moisture resistance, for formulation stability, and for reactivity and retention of properties. This is our presentation here, and the superior of this epoxy, and if this material and in the life service will appear the problems for recycle these materials, but it should be anticipated from now, because the boomings of waste this material will occur in the short time future. Yes, our post presentations. Thank you for your attention.